My name's Brett Vanneman. I spray for the family farm. I've been spraying for 8 years now. Sprayed for the co-op when I first got out of college, and then we bought a machine and I've been doing everything. Some acres I'll cover up to 3 times. Do a before you plant, clean up the fields, make sure all the weeds are dead. Then you do a post once everything's up and go through the field again. And right now on third pass on these bean fields is fungicide, insecticide kind of stuff. And the corn, I'll do the same thing with these taller machines. I'll spray tasseled corn next week. Family farm, it's me, my brother, my mom, and my dad. We farm roughly 2,800 acres. Corn and soybeans. We raise some livestock too, and we make a lot of hay. This afternoon, it's gonna be good and hot, so we're gonna go split bale hay today.
Who do you sell the hay to?
Mostly, it's for our own livestock.
And you raise cattle?
My brother raises cattle. Actually, I raise sheep.
Okay.
So we mostly use it ourselves. We sell a few here and there to people, but it's just to keep everything fed for the winter. Corn, it's the tall 8-foot stuff all around Iowa. There's processes in Cedar Rapids. There's one right out of Highway 30. They make it into ethanol, corn chips down by on 380 at Quaker.
Do you use yours to feed your livestock?
Yes, we use ours to feed our livestock, but I raise 100 sheep and I might use 1,000 bushels the whole year.
Okay, so then you sell the rest of it. And I see that you have some bins over here, so do you store also?
We store what we can't fit in the bins in the fall. We'll haul to town, but otherwise we store and then just sell accordingly.
So if you were not to spray, how big of a difference do you think you would get bushels per acre from not spraying versus spraying?
I bet on the beans right now, we're probably 5 bushels. On the corn, we're probably about the same, maybe 8. And the other benefit of spraying the corn, it keeps it healthy a lot longer, and that means it stands longer. We farm enough, we don't get all combined by the 1st of November. And if the stalks start decaying and starts falling over, we're losing yield that way.
So that's kind of the difference you would see, the 5 and the 8. So what's an average bushel that you would be harvesting for beans and then corn?
Beans, we shoot for try to get 60 bushels. I mean, if you put the micronutrients in and everything, we've seen a lot better. And on good soil. The corn, it all depends. Last year was horrible because it all blew down.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, you hope to get 200. As a little kid, you always wanted to see 200 on the yield monitor, which is a little display in the combine that says what it's yielding. Now you like to see 220 because that's where the genetics have improved. Is we're getting more yield.
Okay.
The corn, we still spray the same weeds we've been spraying on for years. Corn grows so fast it canopies, so with the canopy you don't have a weed issue.
Okay.
Spraying fungicide, we're running 20 gallons to the acre because we want coverage of the plant. Yeah, we rinse out all the jugs, put them to the side. That way, all clean. We can pull off labels, and then we recycle all the jugs, plastic, and they go to recycling plant just like any other plastic does. This monitor controls spraying and rates and field and mapping, which when we get out in the field you'll see. This one actually just controls height control because it has auto boom height, so it regulates on its own. And then this is just a little monitor for fuel gauge and stuff like that.
So how far is this width of the boom?
When they're all unfolded, it's 100 foot.
Wow.
Always check overheads so they don't hit power lines.
And how many different sprayer heads are there on there?
It's one every 15 inches on 100 foot. 80.
It's 80 sprayer heads. Now, what happens if one malfunctions? Does it tell you?
Nope.
So you kind of just watch it and do maintenance? And
Yep. That's why I like the front boom. You can see every nozzle spraying and you can see the pattern. Hopefully you'll be able to see it on the camera.
Can you talk to me? What do you mean by hours? So, like in my car, for example, I go off of how many miles I've driven. So, what do you compare? Why do you use hours?
Because, as you notice, it's parked a lot. I'm not driving miles. The motor's running. So an hour is how long the engine runs. The miles it covers is never very many. I mean, I'm going back and forth. But I'll go back and fill again, and it'll just sit there and run. This thing will run 14 hours in a day, and maybe not drive 10 miles.
So on a machine like this, what would be considered a lot of hours?
4,000.
Okay. And can you talk to me, do you use auto steer on this?
I do, but I don't have the highest technology. So actually currently, last time when I sprayed second pass, I had auto steer, and I'm following my same tracks.
Okay.
I can see them in the beans, so I know they're still straight, and my mapping's working great. I'm not leaving skips. So,
What's the benefit of using auto steer?
a lot less stress. You know, otherwise I'm sitting here staring at that map the whole time, and you're wiggling, you got more overlap. This is a 72 acre field. I could end up with 77 acres.
And so the more overlap you do, the more cost you have in the chemicals and
Correct.
and gas or
Just more-
diesel. Is it gas or diesel?
It's diesel.
Okay.
And it's just more stress on you as the operator because you're just trying to not leave skips. Because if you leave a 2-foot skip out here, when you're spraying herbicide, you gotta come get it. You can't. And you don't just turn around in the middle of the field.
So if you don't get it, will it spread or?
It won't spread, but you'll have weeds there.
Okay.
Like right now, I'm not spraying actually every inch just because I'm gonna drive on too many beans.
Yeah. So when you go to sell this, how important is it that you have purity in your beans and no weed seeds or imperfections to the seeds?
A lot, because dockage just leads to less bushels you get paid for. And weed seeds, and also the other problem with weeds is it's taking moisture away from the beans. So
So if we have a dry year,
Yeah.
they're just fighting for that water.
Yep. Even this volunteer corn we have, you know, it's a weed because it's not a cornfield. That's why a lot of you guys are killing it if it's bad.
So
Right.
this year, is there a lot more volunteer corn because of the derecho?
Yes, because it all blew over and the seeds came out, the corn kernels came out of the corn plant and laid on the ground.
So when you take it to sell, do they test it right when you get there to see like the moisture content or how much they are going to give you for bushel or?
Yes, but you most time have your price set through the elevator, wherever you talk to. They will grade it though, and they will reject you, and then you have to find something else to do with it.
What kind of different grades are there?
Corn, mainly, and beans are the same way. It's number 1 corn, which is really good, and you're based on number 2 corn. That's what you get paid. And then there's 3, 4, and 5. There's all the way to sample grade.
So right now, what's kind of the price of soybeans for each bushel?
Right now, not these ones growing, but the ones that if you got any left in the bin, they're about $14.75 a bushel.
That seems pretty high. Is that higher than usual?
It is very much higher than usual, and that's why you see more people maybe spraying fungicide on these beans and trying to get healthy plants to get a couple more bushels.
And then for corn, what's kind of the bushel cost right now?
Right now, it's about $7.
Okay, and usually like corn is around like $4, isn't
Yep.
it?
Yep.
So why, do you have any guesses of why it's so high this year?
We are in a drought, and there's a shortage after last year, not just the ratio, but worldwide, and we're consuming more corn, and not maybe personally eating it, because this isn't edible corn like sweet corn. It's field corn, but we're just burning it up. We don't have a carryover. Like when you tell your mom you're running out of cereal, you go get more. Well, we can't get more until next year.
So we've talked about some uses for corn. What are some different uses for the soybeans?
Oils, soybean oil, biodiesel,
Livestock feed?
a lot of livestock feed. Soybean meal, it's a high protein for livestock mixed in. Shut it off because you can see the beans just get thin, and you can see the ground. It's very sandy soil, and they're just probably gonna die because it's dry and hot. So it's not worth the extra expense and the money to put into them. And then they turn green again, and you turn it back on. If you're spraying herbicide to kill weeds, you gotta kill all the weeds. You don't leave skips, but this is okay to leave a skip.
So talking about soil types, so the sandy soil there wasn't growing as well as the rest. What would you say the other mixtures of soil are in this field? Do we have more clay or more silt?
It's probably all got some sand in it, but there's more silt, more black dirt in this other portions.
Okay. So most of that coming out is water. Can you remind me how much chemical is mixed in with the water per acre?
On this mix, we put in 6-7 gallons of chemicals to 950 gallons of water.
Okay.
So whatever that percentage is.
So that'd be like a coffee cup per acre.
Yep. It's like the amount of creamer you put in your coffee, unless you really like creamer.
So how many acres did you say this was, this field?
It's 72. We've done 26 and a half so far.
And in Iowa, what's kind of the average acre in a field?
Oh, anywhere. We got a 300 acre field, and I got a 9 acre field, but there's a lot of 40s and 80s.
So a football field's about acre's about the size of a football field. So we have 70 football fields in here. I see the vegetation and the leaves. Are they starting to flower yet?
They are full flower, and they are actually setting pods already.
So they've already pollinated and starting to set pods. How long before they reach full maturity?
Full maturity, like when we can combine, will probably be mid-September at the earliest. Probably 3rd week of September. By the time the pods fill out and the leaves all fall off and they dry down.
So you mentioned you went to college. What did you study?
Egg production.
At Iowa State?
Yes.
Okay. And if someone was looking to go into a career with spraying, what kind of advice would you give them?
Well, it's a great opportunity. There's co-ops always hiring sprayers, and so it's not overly complicated, but there is a trick to it, and you just got to learn how to run the machine and get comfortable. I got told 10 years ago, I'm like, I like the front boom because you can see what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you can't really see your tires, see if you're driving on crop. And the guy's like, well, you can just feel it. Well, about 8-9 years later, I understand it. You can just feel where your tires are if you're in between the row, but you just got to go out and get used to it. It'll take a while.
Okay, and so driving a big machine like this, you mentioned it takes a while. Did it take a little bit to get comfortable driving this on the road?
Yeah. I mean, these skinny tires are very touchy at 30 miles per hour. She wiggles a lot if you're not careful. I mean, over there against the shed, I got big floaters. We put those on in the winter, and then I run those before the crop's up, so we cut down on compaction. And then once the crop's up, we run these because they got to fit between the 30-inch rows. So.
Do you do any custom spraying for other farmers?
I do.
Does that keep you busy?
Yes. I just talked to somebody on the way here.
Okay, and so what's kind of the benefit of using a sprayer like this versus like crop dusting?
Coverage. Crop dust is what? I've never flown. He's a good 50 feet above your crop. Here, I'm covering it. And they use 2 to 5 gallons depending what you buy. I'm using 20. So I'm getting coverage on my plants.